A group of residents living in a Malvern low-income housing co-op say they were the victims of vicious harassment. And they say their co-op board didn't do enough to help.
Well, now they're taking their case to the Human Rights Tribunal. Shannon Martin explains what these tenants went through.
Come see the female part and the cripple.
Hurtful, personal, and downright vile. The posters first surfaced in April 2012 and were hung all over this Malvern co-op building. Deborah Crew and her partner Bill were frequent targets.
It's beyond words how degraded, humiliated, unworthy, unwanted. I know that a piece of paper shouldn't make you feel like that.
I never, ever thought of myself as old or crippled.
For Teresa Savoy, the flyers left on her front door only grew more vulgar. The focus, her 9-year-old son, Zachary, who has cerebral palsy.
We as parents are there to protect our children, and this was beyond my control.
She and a group of tenants went to the co-op's volunteer board of directors, but they say the harassing messages continued for months.
The board really fell short of what they were supposed to do.
Karen Sanchez is representing 9 residents taking their case to the Human Rights Tribunal. She says there needs to be clear guidelines in place to protect tenants from discrimination.
It's very rare for applicants really to have the courage in the way that these applicants have to come forward and say that they're not going to be harassed or discriminated in their own home.
The co-op that runs this building says it too was shocked by the flyers and took immediate action, installing new cameras and bringing in community police. But almost 3 years later, the co-op says it still does not know who's responsible.
The co-op did everything that it could at the time, and it worked. The messages did stop over 2 years ago, and there's been no further incidents.
The messages did in fact stop, but residents say they want to make sure others don't face the same situation.
He can't defend himself. He can't speak for himself. So it's up to us and the Human Rights Tribunal to make that voice for every child, every person with a disability.
The hearing begins on Monday. Tenants are hoping for a set of standards or guidelines to be established, so if this were to happen to anyone else, there would be a process in place that would deal with it quickly.
Such a sad story, especially when you put a face to it. What happens if the tribunal finds that the co-op board should have done more, was expected to do more?
Well, the tenants could be awarded compensation. They could also order the co-op to implement policies. We should mention, though, after the complaint surfaced, the co-op did put together a human rights policy, and board members recently underwent human rights training.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.